So you want to become an electrician and work on cool stuff like this, but you don't know where to start? Well, you've found the right video, because today we're going to teach you exactly how to become an electrician in the UK. And we're going to show you the 3 routes into the industry. We're going to interview people who've been there, who've done it, and are on their way, or who have already become qualified as electricians. So make sure you smash a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So this is Reuben, he's our electrical apprentice, and that is the first route into the electrical industry we're going to talk about, is apprenticeships. So how did you secure an apprenticeship at Artisan Electrics?
To be honest, I've spoken about this in a previous video, but I got pretty fortunate really. It was right as I was just looking for any job, and I thought the apprenticeship was the way to go for any trade. I was looking at even plumbing courses. I know you might be throwing up right now, but yeah, I was. My brother's a carpenter by trade, so I was looking into that as well. But then I saw Jordan's post about looking for an apprentice, and then just went from there, messaged him about it.
And there's a good lesson here, because I actually knew Reuben already, so I knew that he was kind of an all-right guy. And it's a bit of a gamble for an employer to take on a new apprentice that they don't know at all. So if you're looking for an apprenticeship, it's a good place to start, is actually to go to people that you already know, like maybe you've got relatives who are electricians, or maybe there's a friend of the family who's an electrician. That's a really good place to start, because they'll already know you. So how's the apprenticeship sort of thing been now? Like, where are you at with your apprenticeship at the moment?
So I finished all my college work, done my 18th edition and all of that jazz, and now I'm just on my portfolio and my MVQ, just ticking that off. I've done about half of it now, and that's all been signed off by college, so they're just getting me onto, I think it's the second sort of level of the MVQ, and then it'll be my AM2, and then maybe down the line kind of go to inspection and testing, just stuff that kind of helps build on your skill.
Okay, but that sounds, I'm just thinking from a person who's coming in who doesn't know much about the industry,
right,
that all sounds a bit like there's a lot of jargon in there. So how can we simplify it right down to, like, what is an apprenticeship?
Well, there's different styles, but all it is just having partly college and theory work alongside what you're doing on site or wherever you're working. So whatever you're learning at college, perhaps it's once a week, or some people do sort of blocks, so like a few weeks at college, then back on site. You can kind of pair your knowledge that you're learning at college and then come to site and actually see it in practice.
That's it, yeah. So a mix between on-site, but it's more on-site than in college, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I was doing just once a week at college, but obviously then you've got school holidays, some bank holidays, so it is definitely primarily on-site.
Yeah, and so you're in your 3rd year now?
Yeah, 3rd year going on 4th. Oh no, I am on my 4th year.
Starting the 4th.
I am on my 4th year, yeah.
1 year to go.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, if you'd like to get into the industry via the apprenticeship route, what do you need to do?
Well, there's different ways of doing it. You could contact someone that perhaps you know and see if they'd be interested in taking you on as an apprentice. But then I think there's government schemes where you can apply through different organisations as well that supply apprenticeships. But there's a few different ways of doing it.
And it is hard to get an apprenticeship these days, I must say. Like, there are not that many college placements out there, there are not many work placements out there, so it's a bit like you've got the golden ticket if you manage to get an apprenticeship. But if you approach a load of employers, really sell yourself, like maybe make a video that you can send to a potential employer about, you know, why they should take you on as an apprentice, do little things that will make you stand out from the competition, and that will really help. What do you think is the key to becoming a good electrician though, Reuben?
Don't ask me. Ask Lee. No, it's to be honest, it is just mainly experience and just having someone who knows a lot more than you, just constantly just teaching you, and you'll always be refining what you're doing. Even if you've done it for years, there'll always be something new that you can improve on. But it is just over time, you just gain experience and just being willing to want to learn.
Do you think there's stuff you can do as well, like outside of work and college, that can actually help you to progress quicker?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're quite diligent in doing like research for yourself, and just kind of building on your knowledge in your own time as well, that will obviously contribute to what you learn in college and on site. So yeah, that can definitely help.
Just watch a ton of Artisan Electric's YouTube videos.
No, not the ones I'm in, mate.
Thanks, Reuben. That's really interesting. Let's go and see Luke, who will tell us about the second way to become an electrician. Now, before we find out more about how Luke got into the industry, there is one important thing to say, which is that there are different types of electricians. So, for example, you might be an electrician that works with big industrial stuff like this, in factories, hotels, warehouses, or you might be an electrician who works in more commercial stuff like office buildings, or you might be an electrician who works in domestic, in people's homes. Now, in general, most companies tend to pigeonhole themselves into one sector. There are not many companies that do the whole range. For example, we generally do mostly domestic work, although we do dip into a bit of industrial commercial from time to time, as you can see. But if you are more interested by a certain type of electrical work, then it's important to choose your employer wisely, because you don't want to go into the industry thinking you're going to be working on stuff like this and end up working on little tiny fuse boxes in people's houses. So Luke's gone down a different route to become an electrician. How did you go about it, Luke?
I went probably the wrong way and the longer way, but yeah, so what I did basically, I had a midlife crisis at the age of 30 and decided I wanted to get into the trade, and I thought electricians earned the most amount of money, so that's why I went for that one. But no, seriously, so I sort of, alongside my job, I went and did evening college. I did it twice a week. It was about a 3-hour round trip each night. So I did that for a good year, I think, which I passed my level 2 qualification. And then obviously move on to level 3. So I did exactly the same. I did evening course again twice a week and probably a 3-hour round trip altogether. Did that for another year, got my level 3. And at the time I was attending college, I was also watching Artisan Electrics. And I remember one day he was looking for, I don't know, it was training years. I think it was actually a fully qualified electrician. And I watched the video and I sent a sort of CV over and a video of myself talking about myself and things like that. And we went to a big sort of like group interview, which funnily enough, I didn't actually get the job and I don't think anyone did, to be honest. But then Jordan actually reached out to me a few weeks later and said, look, we're sort of interested in your work ethic sort of thing, so would you be interested in coming for a little trial? So, and then I've ended up here.
Yeah, so Luke's just got qualified, so it's been 3 years now since he joined us, and over this time you've been basically just building up a lot of experience and doing your portfolio, right?
It's literally 3 years, I think, in a couple of weeks I've been. So yeah, I did sort of like evening courses, but you don't learn nothing in those courses sort of thing. It's almost just to get your certificate, because there's no way I could have gone from sort of level 3 and then straight into, say, an AM2, so my MVQ has taken the best part of 3 years, but obviously you can do that a lot quicker. I'm not making excuses, but I've got children and a family and things like that, so my evenings are sort of taken up and things like that, running kids here, there and everywhere. So yeah, you could probably do it in a year easily, but it's taken me 3 years, but on the other hand, I've learned a lot more experience in those 3 years instead of trying to cram it in 6 months and just to get qualified. So yeah, sometimes it's better to actually do it longer because you get more experience.
Yeah, so what Luke's done really is kind of like the equivalent of an adult apprenticeship in a way, because he's done a lot of the theory like all in one go. Then you basically just worked and then gained the experience, and then you've done the final exam.
Yeah.
But now, because he's got all of this experience, he's actually like not just a qualified electrician, but he's actually a good qualified electrician, and he knows what he's doing. He can actually do stuff because he's got 3 years of experience on the tools. So I think although it's a long process, I think it's a very valuable process that you've been through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was worried at one point Reuben was going to overtake me. So I was desperate to get that in, but I'm actually going to be honest. I did my AM2 and I did fail one section. It's obviously, I don't know whether you're aware, AM2's split up into a lot of sections. And I failed a tiny section. It's called safe isolation, and it's just because out of a bad habit sort of thing, working in domestic things like that, sometimes I do take off the board, which I know I shouldn't, without safely isolating the whole board, because we're working on like different circuits, and in the customer's house obviously it's not really practical for them to turn off all their power just for a lighting circuit. So yeah, I failed on that sadly, which is literally a 5-minute exam. The pure fact because I took the board cover off, and it's just a stupid mistake for me, and it's just bad habit. But yeah, I failed that, so I had to go back the following week, reset it for literally 5 minutes, and then come out with a pass in the end.
Yeah, so just so if you don't know, the AM2 is like the final exam for electricians, basically, where they have to show their work in all sorts of different types of work. So, you do like a little bit of conduit work, you do, like, what do you do, like wiring up a ring circuit?
Yeah, it's like heating plant circuits, yeah, you'll have a bay with sockets and you wire up double sockets, two-way and intermediate lighting circuit, heating plan circuit with actually a solar involved, three-phase commando socket, a couple of other things, but like I say, a split into load section. I think the pass rate is actually only 40% or to 45% for the first time. So, do you know what I mean? It's quite a hard exam. It's just trying to get your head around it when you're in that. It's over 3 days and you get sort of a bit flustered and things like that. Even though, do you know what I mean? You know what you're doing. It's just, I think sometimes the pressure gets the best out of some people.
Yeah. So whether you do an apprenticeship or you do the kind of like adult learner, electrician's mate route, and then do the MVQ portfolio, you're going to need to do the AM2 exam at some point. That's really important to get kind of that final qualified electrician title. And then the next step after that, you can do the testing and inspection exam as well, which gives you the testing and inspection qualifications. That's slightly a different qualification, and that gives you then the opportunity to become a approved electrician, which is sort of the next level up, which means you can sign off your work, you can sign off other people's work and stuff, which is quite an important thing as well.
I think I was quite lucky though to obviously find Artisan, because the hardest part is trying to find a company that will sort of take you on as an adult learner, because like especially me, you're used to earning that sort of certain wage for a family and things like that, and having a house and a mortgage and things like that. So sometimes you do have to take that big pay cut to sort of start at the bottom again in the trade, just to get the experience sort of thing. So it's horrible for the first year or two, but in the end, do you know what I mean, it pays off and sort of balances itself out. So yeah, as long as you can find a nice company to work for, you should be all right.
But it's a really important thing that you said. I think it's very realistic, because like a lot of people have this idea of like, I'm going to do a course and I'm going to become a qualified electrician and earn a fortune. But it takes a long time to get to the point where, like, even if you did the fast track course, you're in no way capable of going out and doing your own work like that and working for customers. You could try, but you end up messing it up and making loads of mistakes on the job. So the way you've done it is actually really good. But like you said, it's actually hard to find companies who are willing to take that risk. Because from us as a company, you're like, you can't pay them an apprentice wage because they're an adult and it's not an apprenticeship. So you still have to pay them a decent wage, even though they're got no experience, and they are learning from scratch as it would be an apprentice. But the difference is, you were really keen to learn, and that's what stood out to us, which is why we decided to take a punt on you, and it's worked out, because he's qualified, he's now able to work on his own for the company and do jobs and help move things forward, and hopefully train his own apprentice next. So.
Reuben part 2.
So thanks, Luke.
No, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So you've seen those 2 routes into the industry, but there's a third one which is quite surprising. So we're going to go over and visit one of my customers who's become an electrician. So this is Ben, and he's a customer of mine who decided to become an electrician.
That's true.
What happened, Ben?
Well, so big old house, old wiring, etc. Got to the stage where I'm like, I really need to get an EICR done here. I don't know what's going on behind the walls. So I thought I'd call a certain electrical company to come and quote to do an EICR. And when the quote came through, I'm like, maybe it'd be cheaper to train to be an electrician, which was almost true. Wow. So that's kind of what inspired it. So thank you, Jordan, for setting me on a different path. If you'd have quoted any lower, I might have got you to do it.
Well, I put the price so high because I knew it was going to be a nightmare EICR in this place, and we'd have to allow a ton of time for it. So it'd be interesting to see, now that you're a qualified electrician, how you feel about it. But tell us about your journey then. So, what happened? How did you do it?
Well, so I thought I want to get it done pretty quick. I'm not into spending 5 years doing it. Starting in September last year, 2023, I did their training courses. So you start on a level 2, get the level 2 done in 5-6 weeks. Little gap in which I did the 18th edition course, and then straight into the level 3, which was another 6-week full-time. It was like 9 to 5-ish full-time in the classroom. Okay. And then rolled straight into the inspection and testing. It's quite a good time to do it because everything was fresh, which was tough but fun. good, and they had great teaching, so I think that really helped.
Yeah.
And then I just went into the MVQ from there. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just finished.
And so for the MVQ, because you're not working as an electrician, right? Like you're not working for a company or
no.
What's
I mean,
your
I've got my
situation?
own company doing a tiny bit of electrical work, enough to get through the MVQ.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I'm doing this so that I can make the transformations I want to make here.
Yeah.
The off-grid system, all the EICR, all the stuff that needs doing, which would be hundreds of thousands of pounds of electrics if a third party did it,
Yeah.
especially Artisan. If it was done properly.
Yeah.
And I want it done properly.
Yeah.
And in the whole cost, quality, time triangle,
Yeah.
I'm under no illusions it's going to take me forever.
Yeah.
I can do it cheaply by doing it myself, and I can do it well myself, but it is going to take forever.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
There's no way out of that. I can't have it cheap, fast, and good.
Yeah.
So I'm going for cheap and good.
Yeah.
Just taking forever. So I did most of the MVQ here because it's a very unusual place with a lot of commercial opportunities here, plant rooms and this and that and the other. And then where I needed to, I topped it up by going out to various places,
Yeah.
friends, family and beyond, and doing simple jobs, EICRs and simple fixes and inspection and testing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once you've done your MVQ, you did the AM2.
Yep, so I did the AM2, when is it? Just got it on here, like August this
Yeah.
year. Fairly grueling 3 days, actually, yeah, for all the things I've done. That was quite tough.
Yeah.
Especially for me, and my hands weren't moving as fast as perhaps I'd like them to for the build bit. So I finished the build with 4 seconds.
Wow.
So it's like an 8-hour time window, I think, and I had 4 seconds to spare. I stepped back, I'm like, oh my God. But luckily, and it wasn't right,
Yeah.
but luckily, during the inspection and testing phase, which I'm quite quick at,
Yeah.
you can fix things you haven't done right, as long as it doesn't mean lashing in new cables. So I managed to get through that.
So from start to finish then, how long has it taken you from zero to qualified electrician?
Well, so I started 4th of September 2023. My only background before that, in fairness, I had some background. I'm an electrical engineer, but I've got a degree in that.
Okay.
And I've been doing DIY derrick stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
Whether that helps or not, I don't know, because I've kind of been doing the wrong stuff for a long time. But at least things were familiar.
Yeah.
So from the 4th of September through to, I can't remember exactly when I finished the NVQ, but like October this month, so October 24, so just over a year.
And how much do you reckon it's cost you, out of interest?
I meant to add that up, 10 to 15 grand. It really depends on what you add in terms of accommodation. If you were to account for accommodation and travel and all that type of stuff, in that sort of region.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Wow. So how do you feel now that you've done it?
Well, it's like the whole Dunning-Kruger effect. I used to be like super confident I was good at electrics, and then I went on the course and was very humbled by all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of building up my competence again. I'm still not as confident as I was when I didn't know anything, but I'm definitely more competent. And I kind of can't do things badly now. They have to be done, like not done or done right.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's just there's so much that massive blind spots I had from safe isolation and design in the beginning, and then safe isolation, and then like suitability of the wiring systems to the environment. Never thought about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so on, and so, especially inspection and testing. I mean, that's like that's the real hard bit to learn, and the revelation about how to make it safe. So yeah, it's cool.
So do you now understand why I quoted what I did for your EICR?
I do understand why you quoted. I've been doing the EICR. I've done one of our 6 consumer units, and that took long enough. We've got like 2 amp lighting circuits in here as well, so to buy an adapter from IMFT to be able to test those properly or make one, and so on and so on. There's a lot of stuff. There's old red and black wiring. It's just complicated. There's a lot of smart home stuff that needs bypassing for insulation resistance testing and so on. It's complex, and the consumer units are nasty to work with. They're all fairly inaccessible, and the wiring in them is like spaghetti. So it's not even quick and easy to just disconnect conductors and and so I do understand it. Would have been quite a job, and if you were going to do it properly, which is the only way you do things, it would have taken a long time.
Yeah, I was quite relieved when you rejected my quote and said you were going to do it yourself.
This is a more fun path.
And look how it's turned out.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
There's a curveball, guys, right? So not only has Ben just like become an electrician, but he's actually started a YouTube channel as well. And he's just hit 1,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah, started just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We just hit 1,000 subscribers, and we're going really well. So it's been fun.
So if you want to check out Ben's channel, it's called smartfew.tv. And one video that you will really enjoy, I think, is the one about safe isolation, where he cuts through a live cable. It's quite entertaining. We'll leave a link in the description below where you can watch that. Head over and subscribe to Ben's channel and see all the crazy stuff that he's going to be doing around this place. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks for sharing your experience with us.
No worries.
So as you can see, there are various different ways to become an electrician, but hopefully if you're looking to get into the trade, one of these is accessible to you. Make sure you subscribe for future videos because we share loads of good content around the electrical industry here. And if you have enjoyed this video, why not settle back and watch one of these two here that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.